Applying to graduate schemes is really tough. So let's try and simplify it. Hi there, and for those of you that are new here, my name is Gabriel Nussbaum. And earlier this year, I started my graduate scheme at Barclays. I was over the moon with getting it, but I've been in your position. I know that in your final year of university, when you're trying to combine probably a dissertation, probably a final year project, it's the hardest year of university, and at the same time, you're looking to get yourself a job next year, potentially a grad scheme as that job. And I'm here to try and give you some things that I've learned, some things that I did, and some things that I know now with a little bit of hindsight that will really help you with that graduate scheme application process. And for those of you that are a little bit earlier, also for internships. First bit of advice that I want to give, which I actually think is potentially the most important bit of advice, is starting your application process as early as possible. That means being organised, being prepared, so that when the applications open in August or September or even later, you have that spreadsheet put together with the full list of applications, the places you want to apply to. You have the dates when they open down, you have the dates when they close down, and you have everything prepared. That also includes having your CV and cover letter ready, and just generally being ahead of the game. So why is this such an advantage? Well, a lot of these graduate schemes or internships have this thing where they will fill the places on a rolling basis. That means the moment that they get a good candidate, they'll put them in, irrelevant of whether the application process has been closed or not. So by you sending your application at the earliest point possible, you are applying at a point when no one has the roles, and so therefore you are maximizing the possibility of you getting that place. Tip number 2 is really for those people that just don't know where to find these graduate schemes. Now the truth is they are all out there online. People have done the work to put them together. If you just go online and type in top 50, top 100 graduate schemes, or you want to be a bit more specific, so you type in top graduate schemes for X, Y, or Z, engineering, law, marketing, anything like that, there will be websites already there for you. The one that I used was the Times Top 100 graduate schemes, but there are definitely loads of others. On top of that now, there are loads of networks and websites put together specifically for graduates. Things like Bright Network or Debut, all of these have apps online as well, which will show you all of the grad schemes out there, and it's definitely a great place to start. The other place that you can actually look is on LinkedIn. Plenty of grad schemes will actually have really simple application processes where you just click a button on LinkedIn and you're through. So start searching on LinkedIn, start looking up grad schemes, start looking up specific companies and following them, and you'll get all the information that you need on there as well. Tip number 3 is CVs. Now these can be an absolute nightmare, but once you've put the effort in and you have it nice and ready, it is a massive headache off of your plate. It's well known that companies on average will look at a CV for somewhere between 5 to 10 seconds. So that is all the time you have to impress them. Draw their eyes to the things that make you valuable. Normally what I do is I will have a master CV, which will have maybe 2 or 3 pages worth of all of the things that I could ever include on my CV. And then for the job or industry that I'm applying to, I will cut that down to 1 page and keep it nice, neatly formatted and directed, as I said, towards that industry. In terms of the 1 page, 2 page debate, I would say always go for 1 page, because as I said, companies aren't going to look at it for that long. They probably aren't going to turn over the page and look at the second page. If it's not worth going on the front page, it's not worth going in at all. So get it down. And the last bit of advice towards a CV that I would give actually is about how it looks. No one is going to read a page filled with words, completely overcrowded and nothing highlighted or drawn out. Keep it neat and tidy. There are plenty of templates online that you can look at for examples, and make sure you take advantage of that and have your CV looking as good as possible. Tip number 4 is cover letters. Now again, on top of having it ready completely as early as possible, the other bit of advice is about just making sure that is a personal CV. Now that's not personal to you, that's personal to the place that you're applying to. Cover letters can sometimes be the biggest pain. They take the longest amount of time and they are really, really difficult to get completely right. But there are structures online. I think the main one is actually the one that goes paragraph about you, paragraph about the role, paragraph about the company, in whatever order it says now online that is the best way to do it. What most people don't realize is the paragraph about you and the paragraph about the role normally cover all the places you're applying to that have the same role. And they're really easy because they take minimal editing each time you send off the application. The part that's difficult is the paragraph about the company, and this is where most people fall at the final hurdle. They don't put in the effort that's necessary here that really shows a company why you are the perfect fit for that company. And this is where you can stand out. Make sure you've done your research into that company, you know their current affairs, you know what's going on, you know something about them that shows that you've really put in the time and effort to learn about what they are, what their values are, and what they're currently doing. And don't just list it for them because they know all of those things. The key here is to show exactly why you fit into that mold that is their company. And this is your chance to put in a little bit of effort, a little bit of extra effort compared to everyone else that's applying, and really show off that you put the time in and you've got the best cover letter possible. Tip number 5 is networking. Now, many people actually don't think that this can be used to your advantage anymore, but I completely disagree. I know that your parents say that in the olden days, it used to be about who you knew, not what you knew. And I know nowadays it's definitely more about what you know than who you know. But who you know can often get you into the position where you can show off what you know. What I mean by this is that networking often gets you over that first hurdle. And it can get you into the interview or to the assessment centre. Obviously it can't get you the job, but it puts you in the position where you can show off why you deserve the job, rather than being completely disregarded at, let's say, for example, the CV stage. So now you know why to network, but how do you do it? The platform is called LinkedIn. It is the most powerful social networking when it comes to getting a job. All you need to do is find someone that's in that role that you're applying to. Normally, what I would do is look for a new starter, someone who's also just graduated and has started in that role, and that I have a link to. So someone, for example, for me, who's either studied mechanical engineering or engineering, that went to Imperial, or that went to my high school. Because often those connections are what will make people a little bit more comfortable to accept you and to reply to your message. And all you need to do is ask them for a little bit of their time to talk about the application process and about the role that they're in. And most people will say yes. Then you have the chance to have a coffee with them. You're probably not gonna have a coffee with them because the world doesn't work like that anymore. But you can get on the phone with them and they will give you really valuable advice that you can also stick in your cover letter, stick in your CV. And on top of that, sometimes at the end of the call, they'll say, "You sound amazing for this role. I'd love to refer you." And there you go, foot in the door and you're through to the interview stage. And it was as easy as just sending a message on LinkedIn. Tip number 6, and my final thing, is actually about internships and things like spring weeks. More often than not, a lot of people on internships will be offered grad schemes. So the key here is, if you're in your penultimate year at university or elsewise, maybe look to really push hard to get the internship that you want, because that can lead to not having to worry about applying for a job the following year if you had it offered after your internship. Take all the advice that I've given you previously, look for spring weeks, look for internships, and even if you're in your final year, an internship might be the best way to get your foot in the door. I guess the final thing I would say is good luck. I am not envious of you in the slightest that I no longer have to go to that position and that you guys are still doing it. However, keep working hard, and I guess the only thing you need to remember is you only need one yes. That's all it takes. So keep going, don't lose motivation when you get a couple of rejections, because it is inevitable, and do your best and you will 100% have a job. If you've liked this video and you like this style of video, it'd be amazing to get a like on it, and if you left a comment, maybe telling me a little bit about some of the other advice that you would give to graduates or people applying to internships, because I can add that in a future video potentially. And lastly, if you can subscribe, and if you really want to hit the bell on this video to be notified when I release new ones, that would be amazing and it would support this channel massively. And once again, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.